What is going on, beautiful people? Welcome back. It is your boy Blue Games, and we are here on X-Plane 11 for another aircraft showcase and honest review. Today we're looking at the Cessna Citation Mustang. Oh yeah, we got us another business jet. So definitely shout out to RW Designs for creating this. I believe that's made by Rob Wilson, for introducing another business jet to the X-Plane 11 hangar. So far I've really enjoyed it. If you don't want to see the full flight, full video, skip to the end to hear my final thoughts, my final review, my final rating of this aircraft. If you're looking to see something really quick before you buy, skip to the end. After the landing, I'll share my final thoughts. But for the rest of you guys, stick around and we'll be taking a look at the exterior first. It's great to have another quality business jet added to the X-Plane 11 market, and I will say that this is actually the updated 1.01 version for the Citation Mustang. It had a lot of bugs, honestly, on the initial release, so much that I actually had to completely re-record this whole video after the new update was released. But I'll show you guys what those are, what they were, as we go through. But let's start out with the exterior model. First of all, this plane looks amazing. It's spot on from the outside. Like, it looks just like the Citation Mustang. I wouldn't expect anything less. The modeling is actually really well done. Like, the quality of the modeling, the texturing, the textures are all high resolution 4K. I will say I don't know that they're actually taking advantage of all the PBR materials and PBR functionality that X-Plane has to offer. It didn't mention anything in the store notes, so I'm kind of assuming that it's just using high resolution textures and, you know, reflections and things like that, but I don't know that it's actually taking advantage of the PBR, so I cannot say. You guys can correct me if you actually know more about that. But other than that, though, I believe that the rest of the aircraft just looks good. From the outside, looks great. The liveries look really good. The plane looks really classy, and you'll see that for sure once we get to the inside. The animations are all very smooth. The main door opens up, as well as the front cargo and rear cargo doors. To get them open, you actually have to go to the inside first, and then click down here by your right knee, pretty much, with a little menu binder. Click on that, and then you can go to click on exterior doors. In the original version, this was a bug where you could not actually get this to pop up, but if you update your version, which it should automatically, because it does automatically update, you'll be able to actually see that you can now see the doors, and you can click on them and they will open as you click on them. So very nice. But you can't open the main door just by clicking on the button or on the handle from the inside, but the rest of the doors have to be clicked on. You can even open the emergency exit. I'll actually show that really quick here. It's kind of interesting how it happens. So if you click on the emergency exit, it'll actually pop open that in case you get into an emergency situation where you need to evacuate and you can't get out the main door. So we will go ahead and close that back. We'll leave the rest of the doors open for now, and we'll also get the GPU plugged in, which was also a kind of a bit glitchy. It wasn't always working when it was supposed to work, but now it seems to work perfectly fine. When you click on GPU here, you'll see that pop there, and I believe you can, I think you should be able to hear it. I actually have the sound turned off right now, but you should be able to hear it turn on once you click on that button there. Another bug that was fixed was the disable 3D passengers was not working before, but now when you click on that, it actually will disable the passengers and turn them on and whatnot. And speaking of passengers, we're gonna go ahead and get this thing filled up for today's flight. We're flying from Bozeman, Montana to Auburn Municipal, just outside of Seattle. We'll be flying over some beautiful orbit scenery on the way there, as well as my own ortho scenery out of Montana. So looking forward to that. Make sure you stick around. So it's pretty simple to load it up. I've already kind of set my fuel, so we're going to use 870 kilograms today, which is a little bit extra, but just in case. This thing seems to burn through fuel pretty quickly, but we're pretty good there, even on both sides. We'll add some passengers to the back and some passengers there, and so we get a co-pilot in there. I'm actually going to take some fuel out. I know we have a little bit extra, and we do 790 kilograms, so we're not above max takeoff weight, and we can still fit in all the passengers. Cool, so we go into the inside. The interior of this aircraft is just amazing in my opinion. I'm very impressed, mostly by the 3D people. I mean, I believe this aircraft has the best 3D character or 3D people modeling of any aircraft I have seen on X-Plane 11 so far. I know there's some people who come close, but yeah, I mean, the detail in these are just so good, and you probably can't even really see it on your screen as well as it actually looks. But I mean, look at her hands here. Her hands, like, hands are the hardest thing for an artist to do, to draw. If there's any artists watching the video, you know that's one of the hardest thing to do. But I don't want to stick on that too much. The lights do light up. Ooh, look at that. It actually lights up the people as well. That's pretty cool. Obviously the tray tables and stuff pop out. That's all good, all gravy. I don't know what they're working on, but it looks really important. I don't know where we're heading, but I guess they got a pretty important meeting out there in Auburn and in Seattle. But yeah, they're all ready to go though. But yeah, again, it looks good. The texturing of the seats, the chairs look really good. Again, I don't know if any of this is PBR. It just may be really good texture work. I also like this pattern back here on the back wall. Very I don't know, it just feels really classy in here, you know what I mean? Like, you just can't trip, you know what I mean? Sit on the plane, have a good flight. So hopefully we'll have one. Let's go ahead and move up to the front now. We'll get these doors shut, and we'll get the aircraft started once I show you guys the cockpit. All right, let's shut the door. We'll click here on the handle, get that door shut. Very nice. And we'll move on to the cockpit. The cockpit is just as good as the cabin. It looks great. Again, I believe that the best work visually in this aircraft is the textures and the modeling on the interior of the aircraft. The outside looks great too, don't get me wrong, but the inside just really shines. The Citation Mustang is actually fitted with the G1000 avionics, custom G1000 avionics. Actually, the only thing they actually changed was this here on the left side. You see these systems panel where you can see the battery voltage, all that kind of stuff. That's all custom, as well as the opening screen. Other than that, the G1000 is the exact same G1000 you'll see in the Laminar's default aircraft, like the Cessna 172. It's the exact same thing. Some people may complain that it did not come with the keyboard, but I did look up on the forums, and it seems that the keyboard is a pretty tough obstacle to get around due to some type of X-plane limitation. People like Hot Start and the Epic E1000 had to go through some big hoops or some tiny hoops, whichever, some rings of fire to actually get that to work. To me, it's not a huge deal. One thing I did notice that it is not here is if you're familiar with the original G1000, it also has a heading and an altitude knob on the left side of the screen. I would like them to bring that back. I mean, if you look up here, it also has altitude and heading and whatnot up here that you can change, but I just personally like to have it there because a lot of times I'm trying to change the heading while looking at this screen and whatnot, but if not, I gotta go all the way up there, you know what I mean? So, and if you want to actually change anything on the screen, the middle screen particularly, because the side screen is pretty easy. You got flight plan right here, you got procedures, you got all that kind of stuff to actually change it. You got your range here, but it can get confusing when you get to the center screen. You're like, well, how do I change it? Well, to change it, you actually have to go back here to the center panel below the throttle. This is your range right here using the scroll wheel, and you have your FMS knob. You can click flight plan here and do all that stuff. The same thing you can do is just all the controls are down here, which is honestly, in my opinion, kind of inconvenient. But I don't know if that's how it is in the real Mustang or what, but that's just how it is in this aircraft. But anyways, the doors are closed. Let's go ahead and get the cargo doors closed as well. I'm gonna click on the exterior doors right here, and we'll close the front, left, and the rear. Close that down. If you want to use a checklist, the checklist is available. Today we will not be using the checklist, but feel free to use it on your own time. So first, let's get this flight plan inputted. I'm actually gonna turn off the yoke. One complaint that I do have is I would like to have a click spot to just click and turn off the yoke. It's currently not possible. You gotta actually click open the binder and then do it. Again, kind of inconvenient, but it's how it is. Hopefully the developer will make a change there. But I'm gonna go ahead and do our flight plan. I'm gonna click on flight plan right here, and then as you can see, I have an old flight plan here. I'm gonna click on menu and use FMS, the big knob on the FMS, to go down to delete my flight plan by hitting enter. And now it's gonna put us at our current location, Bozeman. I'm gonna hit procedure, and we're gonna select a departure, hit enter there. And we're gonna be using the, I think it's called the Whitehall 5 departure. Hit enter on that via runway 30. And we'll go ahead and load that. Perfect. And again, it's just a default G1000, so I'm not gonna go over too much of how to use a G1000 because it's kind of already standard. All right, from there, we're going to continue to the Victor 86 airway, and we're going to click on menu to get to our airways. Scroll down a little bit, load airway, hit enter, scroll down to the Victor 86, which is right here, hit enter, And then we'll be exiting that runway at Charlie Papa November, which shouldn't be too far down here. There it is, enter and load. Next up, we're going to be flying direct to Mike Whiskey Hotel. So I'm going to click on, I'm just going to scroll. And again, I'm going to try to speed through this process, not to keep you guys here for too long. From there, we're going to continue on another airway down to Quint. Load. And our final waypoint will be Seattle, the Seattle VOR. We'll be shooting an RNAV approach into our destination. The place we're flying is a very small, uncontrolled airport, just FYI. It's not like a major class Bravo airport. It's like really tiny, very small runway, just one runway, mainly for GA aircraft, but this aircraft is just small enough to land there. And then our final destination will be Sierra 50. Enter. There we go. All right, and we're all done with that for now. If you wanted to go in and change your altitudes and things like that for VNAV, which I'm not sure actually works, but if you wanted to try, you can go down here and enter those in on the right hand side there by just clicking on the FMS knob and then scrolling there. Just like so. We're not gonna do that right now, I'm not gonna worry about it. But we will be cruising at 40,000 feet. Let's see, that seems to be all good. So I'm gonna scroll up. Another thing that I would suggest, if the developer just happens to watch this, or if anybody wants to pass it on, is right now I have to use the actual altitude select button to actually change the altitude, and I would like to use my default thing on my HOTAS to actually change. But for some reason, the quick key or whatever is mapped differently for this plane. So only thing I can actually use is my heading from my actual yoke, from my physical yoke, but I can't use my altitude. I think the trim does work. All right, beautiful. So altimeter is going to be 2997. So let's go ahead and plug that in on the right side here, 2997. And we'll go ahead and set up our transponder down here on the bottom by clicking on transponder, and then we'll hit standby for now. We'll leave it at 2200. That's fine. We won't be flying online. I'm gonna add my wind information just because I like to have it. I'm also, oops, not off. Option 2 is, I think, my favorite. Yeah, option 2. I'm also gonna select my bearing and bearing 2. That's gonna give us our localizer 1 and localizer 2 information. Not that we really need it right now, but you know, I don't know. All right, it's a very simple startup process. I'm just gonna get the battery turned on. Right now we've been going on GPU power. Wanna make sure you got the voltage here. That looks good. And make sure your generators are currently off. We're gonna go ahead and reset our pitot, install warning and stuff like that. Go ahead and kill that annunciator. And then we'll slide over to the center. Turn on the nav lights, turn on the beacon lights, we'll turn on the passenger seatbelt signs and whatnot. It's kind of weird. The click spots for these buttons are kind of weird. You can use your scroll wheel or you can click, but it's kind of weird and you kind of don't know when to use which. So it's a little bit, you know, weird. Anyway, so next, air source on the right in our environmental panel. I'll go to both. I'm gonna use my scroll wheel for that. And I believe that is anti-skid is next. And I think that is all. Cool. All right, so to start the engines up, all we need to do is click on that handy dandy ignition, and we'll hit the right one first, then hit the engine start right, and then slide to that secret spot down here below the right throttle. Click right there, and you should hear that baby firing up. Looks like the engines are stabilizing. We're gonna go ahead and hit reset on the right gen first. Let it do its thing, and then we're gonna go to the up position and do the same process on the left. First, we're gonna turn off the right ignition, turn on the left ignition, and then left engine start. And pretty much immediately go down to the left throttle, click on the lower button, whatever you call that thing, and you should start seeing rotation on the left engine. One thing I will say is the The engine fans seem to always be spinning. It's never been an instant since I've been flying this that the engine fan has not been spinning. So it's something I need to fix because there's no way it's that windy out here. All right, we're gonna reset the left generator and then turn it on. Clear that. All right, outside temperature is 11, inside temperature is 5 Celsius. Make sure we have our standby instruments turned on. And now we can turn the air conditioner on the right side. If you want to turn a display lights up or down, you can use this little display knob. Obviously, we don't need it right now. And apparently our beacon light was off, so now it's on. All right, right now it's telling us my left generator is not on, which it is not. So again, I thought I clicked it, but now I just scrolled it up, so it's a little weird. I don't know. Okay, we're ready to go. We're actually going to take off with no flaps today, so I'm not going to worry about that. Turn on the flight director. All right, we're ready to taxi. So back down here, we're actually going to turn to the recognition taxi light there. And we'll release the park and brake. We're taxiing to runway 30. That's going to be off our left wing towards those mountains over there, basically towards the sun. So I'm going to give us some power, and we'll make a big UE. Now, usually I don't turn the yaw damper on until I'm airborne, but in the tutorial for this plane that's provided in the documentation, they said to turn the yaw damper on during taxi, so that's what we're going to do today. I'll also go ahead and pre-select our navigation for the autopilot, and that should be good. Beautiful day out here in Bozeman, Montana. Can't wait for you guys to see this departure. You may have noticed that I forgot to disconnect the GPU. The good thing is, once you release the park and brake, GPU will automatically release. But this is why we have checklists, because if this was real life, I would be rolling down the taxiway with my GPU dragging down the taxiway. Anyways, lights on. All right, Citation 116 Bravo, runway 30 at Alpha, ready to go. We are clear for takeoff. All right, we'll get it lined up and we'll roll out of here. All right, takeoff power. Airspeed is alive. $80 knots. And I'll rotate right there. Positive climb, gear up. I'm going to pull back the throttle to climb mode. And I'm going to go ahead and continue following the flight director. And we're trying to keep our speed around between 155 and 160 in the climb out. I think we're at 166 right now. So pitching up to compensate for that. Beautiful departure already. You can see the mountains off our nose. Climbing out at about almost 3,000 feet per minute at 165 knots. I will say another thing that they changed in the recent update since the initial release was they did kind of tone down the climb performance. One of the big complaints before when the aircraft first came out before the hotfix was that the aircraft was overpowered. I feel like it may still be, maybe a little bit, but I can't really say. Again, I don't fly this aircraft in real life, so I'm not a genius on the performance data of this plane. But I will say they did absolutely make a pretty significant improvement on, or at least in the right direction of making the performance a bit more realistic for this aircraft. So I can't complain about that. I do like that the developer listened to everyone, all the feedback he was getting. I saw a lot of real Mustang pilots giving feedback on how the aircraft should fly, how it should climb, how it should cruise, and all those things. And the developer listened, and he made a pretty quick fix to that. So I'm pretty happy that he did that, because before, man, we were freaking rocket. It was crazy, man. Another thing that you'll notice they fixed, I'm actually going to go into autopilot since I'm talking so much. Go to flight change mode and autopilot. There we go. All right, 161 should be fine. Another significant change they made, which is the big one, it was one that was really annoying me, was before, if you had the original version, you would remember that there was a big yellow like line right here on your speed indicator. Right now you see like a green one that leads to a white tiny one. So before, the green one was never there, the red one never showed up. I don't think you even ever saw the white one. You just saw a yellow tape. No matter how fast you were going, you saw yellow. And so that was definitely a bug. And the developer obviously has now fixed that, so I'm very happy that he did. But that's now fixed. Another thing they did fix, and a lot of people, was another huge thing. Again, this plane first released with a ton of bugs. And I'm glad he came back and fixed them. I'm honestly glad I'm re-recording this video with the fixed version, because it's definitely a lot more enjoyable to fly. But he did fix the localizer and GPS alignment. Before, the aircraft wouldn't really properly fly the GPS or the localizer. It would be off by about a half a mile sometimes. It would basically fly a parallel course to the course that it's actually supposed to fly in, which was really annoying and and honestly unacceptable for an aircraft. You really can't enjoy flying a simulator if it doesn't actually follow the GPS when you wanted to, or follow the localizer on the way into an approach. But they did fix that. As you can see now, we're pretty much perfectly on that GPS line. Like, you know, it's, yeah, pretty much perfect. So glad they fixed that. That's a big deal. We're already climbing past 16,000 already, at about 160 knots. I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the landing lights right here, and the wing lights, and that should be good. You can turn the seatbelt signs off at pilot's discretion. Pretty smooth flight so far. Shouldn't see too much. I'm not really sure. We might get into some overcast or some bumpy clouds out there in Seattle, but we should see. So you can see the aircraft is now leveling off, and we're actually going to continue our climb up to our cruise, which is going to be 40,000 feet. And see, the aircraft is now picking up speed. I'm going to scroll up to 40,000, and then we'll change that to flight change mode. Matter of fact, we'll do vertical speed mode first, so the aircraft doesn't shoot the nose up. So hit VS. I'm going to scroll up on that. We'll give it about 2,000 feet per minute, and then we'll wait for their speed to kind of get down to a rate that we like. I'm looking for somewhere around like 160 still. Like, I usually pretty much climb the whole climb around like 160, 155 until I get up to cruise, and then I let it cruise from there. Beautiful freaking departure out here in Montana, Bozeman, Montana, guys. Don't sleep on Bozeman, Montana, guys. It is beautiful out here. I'm loving this ortho. I'm so glad that I actually spent the time to create ortho out here. As you can see, it's now being covered by overcast skies out to our left wing, but we still got a little bit of view out here. Oh man. So I Just leveled off at 40,000, and the aircraft is picking up speed. See, we're at like 180 knots. The wind is against us, off our nose a bit. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the throttles back to cruise, and that should take care of the rest. Really don't have to do anything else. You don't really have to worry about overspeed or anything like that, like some of the other jets. Once you get up to cruise and you put it in cruise mode, you're pretty much set for the rest of the flight. You can just sit back, relax, and enjoy the view, you know what I mean? But we're about an hour 15 out, and yeah, just gonna cruise here at 40,000 over beautiful Montana. So there's something else I would like to actually point out. If you go to the exterior view, beautiful, beautiful. But what you'll see is you'll notice we're at 40,000 feet and there's no contrail whatsoever. Like, I'm not really sure what's up with that. I've tested other planes to see if maybe it was a graphic issue, but so I don't really know. It's weird. I've done a bunch of flights in this plane and the contrail never shows up no matter what the weather is. As well as another thing you'll notice, another effect you'll notice is that you don't see the engine heat. The heat haze is not coming out of the engines either. And I don't know, both those things are pretty significant problems. I'm not sure what's causing it to not show up. I saw an early screenshot of the plane before it was released where you did actually see the heat haze coming from the engine. So I don't know if something happened towards the end of you know, the beta period or whatnot, but it's something that definitely needs to be fixed. And I think a lot of people would agree with me for sure. And then I don't really know what's up with the contrail. I don't know. It's weird. I mean, even if I was up this high in a Cessna 172, I would have a contrail. So I don't really understand why I'm not getting a contrail for this plane. Another thing that you'll probably notice is that the engine sounds are not so great. Like it's definitely using the original sounds from the C510, but they just really didn't utilize the ability of FMOD, in my opinion. It does move the sound around 3D space, but the sound doesn't really change. It just kind of goes up and down in volume. I'm really unimpressed, honestly, by the sound. The sound could use a lot of work. So we kind of went out to the north a little bit to lose some altitude, but as of now we're looking good. I'm gonna go ahead and plug in our approach here. So I'm gonna go procedure, select approach, and RNAV, GPS, LNAV is what we're looking for, and we use CDUG. That's all good. Hit enter, and we'll go down and just hit load there, and that'll be our RNAV approach, and that'll be a really good test to see if the RNAV approach actually works. I did do an ILS before and it worked perfectly, so this time we'll try the RNAV. So, but beautiful views outside. Flying just a couple thousand feet above these mountains to the east of the city of Seattle. And it's a pretty nice day. We may see some clouds here soon. Some clouds might just happen to pop in soon. But so far, we are looking really good. Okay, let's go ahead and activate our approach. I'm going to click on, I believe it's menu. Actually, flight plan first and then menu. No. Actually, it is flight plan first and then procedure. Or actually, you don't even have to hit flight plan. Just click procedure. And then go to activate approach. Enter. And there it is. Now it's going to send us directly to our first point in our approach. And I don't know why my transponder isn't standby. And as I said, just as I thought, we found some clouds The METAR, the local METAR says about overcast 5,000, scattered 1,500, altimeter 300, I think it's 8. But about to cross over, I believe it's or CDUG, or we need to be about 5,900 feet. There it is. Aircraft should start making a left turn. There it is. Right into the soup we go. So I'm going to go ahead and descend down to 3,000 now using vertical speed mode. Hopefully we have enough fuel to fly the full approach. Go down about 2,000 feet per minute to make sure we get there. And pull back on the throttle as we make the turn so we make a tighter turn. Hopefully once we get through these clouds, we'll be able to actually see the runway. The airport's a really small airport, and it's going to be pretty important that we can actually see it, because we'll be flying visual once we get below these clouds. I'm about to level off at 3,000. I'm starting to be able to see the ground to my sides. That is a good sign. There's no rain in the area. It says clear as far as visibility once you get down on the ground. It's overcast at 5,000. Okay, I'm going to pre-select my altitude for our next altitude, which is 2,100. I'm actually pretty excited about this approach. This is going to be a lot of fun. Vertical speed mode, engaged, and descending. So far, so good. Making a left turn next, direct to Gista. We're going to be at or above 2,100 feet. Okay, searching, and I do believe I see the airport. Yep, it's right there, right off our nose. It's not an exact straight path. It's kind of at an angle, but that's just kind of how the RNAV is set up for this approach. But we are perfectly on the actual approach course here. Not the approach course, but we're perfectly on the published RNAV procedure here, going to Gista, which is really good. That's a big change. I'm glad that they fixed the localizer and GPS alignment. Is going to make a big difference. So we are definitely low on fuel. We probably will not have enough to go around, so we have to make this in one try. But we're looking good so far, and about five miles out. So let's get ready. I'm going to go ahead and, since I do have eyes on the runway, I will actually go ahead and disengage the autopilot, and we'll fly from here. And go flaps 2 or full. Very short runway, so you gotta make sure you touch down at a good place, or you will overshoot and you will not get stopped in time. Such a cool approach, though. Got trains off our left wing. Alright, no more distractions. I see one white, one red. Don't forget to loosen the grip on the yoke. I have to remind myself of that. Alright, we're high. Tap the speed brake a little bit to get off a little speed. A little fast. I'm coming in low. And touchdown. Very nice. Manual braking. There's 60 knots. And we're gonna make this next taxiway here. Alright, so final thoughts. I'm really happy that we have more options for business jets now in X-Plane 11. I mean, just think 1 year ago we had like one or two, and now we have a fleet. I really like the exterior model. It looks really good. They did a really good job of modeling this Citation. Only have a couple complaints. One being the fan blades never stop spinning, no matter the weather or if the engine is not running. Another issue that I've noticed and has not gone away is the if you look at the wings from certain angles, you'll actually see kind of like a stuttery, grainy effect, which means probably something's overlapping. I think that's what that means. But that's just a small thing I'm sure you could fix pretty easily. Another visual issue is that it does not, for some reason, it doesn't give off a heat haze behind the engines. There's no like heat effect behind the engine, as well as there's no contrails for some reason once you get up at cruise. Interior model though is amazing. It's great. I mean, I couldn't ask for more. I don't know whether they're really taking advantage of the PBR materials on this aircraft, exterior or interior, but the 3D modeled people look amazing. Definitely the best I've seen on any aircraft in X-Plane 11. The physics are being improved. As I mentioned earlier in the video, originally it was really overpowered, and they definitely tuned it back, and it seems to be working a bit better now. But I'm not a Citation pilot, so I'm not the best judge of that, but I have no complaints on the flight model or flight physics, anything like that. Exterior sounds and interior sounds all need to be reworked at some point. I mean, I guess it's not really a killer for it, but for me it's a pretty big deal. I like aircraft that have really good authentic engine sounds throughout the cockpit, around it, on the exterior, outside, everywhere, and this one just doesn't really meet my personal expectations when it comes to sound on a Payware aircraft, but I know that's something he can work on in the future. But as of now, I'm not super impressed by it. Also, there's no ground contact sound, so you won't hear like the wheels on while you're taxiing, and you won't hear touchdown whenever you land, which is a really big disappointment. It's not okay, so they definitely need to add that. As far as systems, I'm really happy they used the G1000, the custom G1000. I really like that they did that. It's basically the default G1000 with a custom systems panel on the side. No keyboard, but it's not a heartbreaker for me. I'm glad that they fixed the localizer and misalignment issue they had before. Now you can fly routes and precision approaches at ease. They also fixed the UI and door panel popping up. Now the GPU will pop up when you want it to, and the doors will not open at cruise. So they fixed a lot of issues. I'm really glad that the developer was able to quickly respond to some of those initial bugs that first came through. But in my opinion, this aircraft is definitely worth the price. I would give this aircraft a rating of maybe 3.3. Let's go with 3.3. If they made a few adjustments here and there, it could definitely potentially be a 3.8, maybe a 4, but it's definitely flyable. It's nothing wrong with it right now that makes it unenjoyable to fly, but there's things that could be added to it and cleaned up on that could make it a whole lot more fun and more competitive against the other business jets that are already out and are coming in the future. But if you are still on the fence about adding this to your hangar, I would recommend you just wait for it to go on sale. I think it's a great aircraft. I think it's definitely an aircraft you are gonna enjoy and like flying a lot. Maybe not the top of your list, but definitely an aircraft you should eventually get, and I think this will be a really good sale item. So anyways, let me know if you agree or disagree. I appreciate you guys watching. Let me know if you want to see any more reviews in the future of your own favorite aircraft. Remember, you got 3 choices: give up, give in, or give it all. You got peace, love, and God bless you. I'll see you guys next time, next video. Peace.